A former Impact Wrestling star has returned to the company to work in a backstage role. Plus, a title match has been officially announced for the upcoming Impact Wrestling Rebellion events. All this and more in today's Impact Wrestling News. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into today. So let's talk about the world of Impact Wrestling. We're coming off, of course, the Sacrifice event this past weekend. We're also coming out of the Impact Wrestling television tapings that took place the following day after Sacrifice, which of course we've spoken about here on the channel. So be sure to check that out too. But one big story we have comes from Gail Kim, who has revealed that former Impact Wrestling knockout Christy Hemme is reportedly back working with Impact Wrestling. Now, on Tuesday's episode of SiriusXM's Busted Open Radio, Impact Wrestling Hall of Famer Gail Kim joined Dave LaGreca and Bully Ray to discuss her current role in talent relations for the company. Now, during the discussion, the 7-time Knockouts champion explained where she draws the line backstage with the wrestlers after transitioning from wrestler to a management role. She said, quote, "You have to be able to balance the personal with the business," Gail Kim explained. "So I want everyone, honestly, not just the women, I want the men, the boys, to feel comfortable to come to talk to me about anything. Whether it's just advice in the wrestling business or how to handle the business in some way. But you do really need to know how to draw that line, and they need to know where you're going to draw the line. I think I don't have a problem with being direct, and when they need to know something, or if I'm not really happy with something, that's when you've got to get really direct. And it's the way you say it, and the way you hold yourself. I think they know where I draw the line on friendship and being management." So Gail Kim talking about her role in talent relations there, and I think that's fair. But the big news was talking about Christy Hemme, former Impact Wrestling knockout, wrestler, ring announcer. Gail Kim has revealed that the former WWE, of course, Diva Search winner, the first ever Diva Search winner, Christy Hemme, is now back with Impact Wrestling working behind the scenes. She said, quote, "Now we have Christy Hemme back. I don't know if people know that. She's backstage now working on a lot of things, helping with some branding stuff and production stuff. And it's great to have the more women in the office, the better. Madison Rayne, it's becoming a little more of a mix as opposed to just the boys club, right?" She was also asked about if she misses competing in the ring. She said, quote, "Listen, I do miss it. Of course I do. But my body is a constant reminder. It's not even just that. There are so many factors for me to come out of retirement and do that again. It's like, okay, do I want my back to get worse? Do I want to take a chance of making it where I do need to get the back surgery where, my memory has gotten a little worse throughout my whole 15 years, 20 years. So I'm like, do I want to make my memory worse too? Who knows what could happen? I was very satisfied with my end match and the way it happened. How many people can close that door and just be happy with that? It's a very rare thing." Now, she was also asked, Gail Kim, we will talk about Christy Hemme in a second, but she was also asked, and this was quite fascinating, about working with Tessa Blanchard. Yes, Tessa Blanchard, of course, is working with the Women's of Wrestling now, but she was asked about working with Tessa Blanchard in her last ever match, and she expressed a number of emotions about how Tessa's career and Impact didn't work out. She said, quote, "More, I would say, maybe not, well, disappointment and a little bit of sadness. I think that Tessa has, once-in-a-generation talent, for sure. The minute I saw her come into our company, wrestle, and witnessed a couple of things, I was like, okay, I'm coming out of retirement for her. Right away, I knew. Listen, years have passed now. It was 2019 since we had that last match, and she should be accomplishing big things in the business, in my opinion. So I wish I could see that for her, because I know that talent is rare. So, I've talked about this a bunch, but these are ultimately my bottom line feelings." So kind of not disavowing or disapproving of Tessa Blanchard, also saying she should be achieving more, but also not condemning her also, which I think is interesting. Gail Kim was always a big proponent of it, even when all that stuff was coming out, and then she won the World Championship, rather. Gail Kim was first on the stage defending her, so I think that speaks volumes. Nevertheless, talking about Christy Hemme, this isn't too much of a surprise to those, I guess, that are keeping a real close eye on Impact Wrestling, because when they had the Knockouts Knockdown event, was that last year? I think it was last year. The time just flies so quickly. It was last year. She had spoken about Gail Kim because she was executive producer of that. Came right after Empower, and it was actually planned they wanted to do that before Empower became a thing. They'd been speaking about it for a while, and obviously they'd done Knockouts Knockdown events for ages. Impact Wrestling, that really is nothing new for them. But Gail Kim was serving as the executive producer of that. She was really fronting it, and she revealed at the time that Christy Hemme was helping her with the production, with the booking, with the marketing, booking talent, all that kind of stuff. stuff, she was heavily involved in that. And I think from what we're reading here, that kind of paved the way for Christy Hemme to come back to Impact Wrestling and really be involved backstage. So that's the situation there. As far as, is she going to be involved on camera? I mean, this is pro wrestling, really, isn't it? Anything's possible. It tends to be with pro wrestling that if you're working backstage for a company, you, at the very least, you end up doing a cameo or something like that, because there will come a time, a match, a storyline, a backstage vignette, or whatever, and they'll just say, like, Chrissy, do you want to be in this? Or do you think it'll be good if this? You know, I think you'll get a good reaction or whatever. So I think that will probably happen with her. I don't think she's going to be the ring announcer or anything like that, and I don't think she should. I think she was fine, but Dave Penzer's a legend, and even though his style is obviously very mocked, because it's everything is the same with Dave Penzer, that's how he always does his ring announcer. But he's legendary all the way back to WCW and Jim Crockett Promotions. So, and he was the guy for Impact Wrestling for such a long period of time. So I don't want anyone replacing Dave Penzer. Thank you very much. So Christy Hemme working backstage in production or whatever is great. And Gail Kim is right when she talks about it when it comes to the office side of things. That absolutely 100% need to be more females in executive positions in pro wrestling, or just positions backstage in pro wrestling, whether it is production, whether you're an agent, whether you're a writer, whether you're whatever it may be. There have to be more females in there because they need to normalize that. As Gail Kim mentioned, the business is a bit of a boys' club, and it has come leaps and bounds, but there are still ways to go, especially in the management side of things. You know, it's got better in terms of in-ring when it comes to female representation. It could be way better in terms of finances. It needs to be way better, in my opinion. There needs to be parity between females and males in terms of their role on the card and all that kind of stuff, especially financially, but especially also too on the executive side of things. There is a ways to go with that, and people like Gail Kim continue to trailblaze even when she's retired and she's out of the ring. So great to see that Christy Hemme is back with the company. Finally, also, it's been officially announced, we kind of spoke about this yesterday, but Impact have properly announced it, that a second title match has been revealed for Impact's Rebellion pay-per-view. Impact announced yesterday that Trey Miguel will defend his X Division Championship in a triple threat match at Rebellion. A series of qualifying matches will be held during upcoming Impact Wrestling television episodes on Access TV to determine Miguel's challenges. Of course, the 2022 Impact Rebellion pay-per-view is set to take place on Saturday, April 23rd at the MJN Convention Center in Poughkeepsie, New York. This is the updated card so far. Of course, we've got that main event, which is the Impact World Championship match between Josh Alexander and Moose, which in my opinion is where we're going to see Moose drop the Impact World Championship to Josh Alexander. Could be wrong, but I think that's where they're going with that one. And now this triple threat match for the Impact X Division Championship. I suppose spoilers ahead, because we did speak about this briefly yesterday, so I'll give you a few seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the spoiler coming out of one of the television tapings was that Ace Austin has already qualified for this, and I spoke about it at the time. I wasn't sure at the time of recording if it was going to be a singles match or a triple threat match. I was obviously very excited for a singles match, Trey Miguel versus Ace Austin, X Division Championship, just licensed to print money, right? That's amazing. But a triple threat match is interesting. So who do I look at as potentially someone that could be involved in that? I look at Chris Bay. I mean, it depends what kind of match they're going for. As I mentioned, the X Division Championship is a chameleon kind of championship. And what I mean by that is it basically changes. Depending on who's holding it, it changes. If you've got people like Josh Alexander holding the X Division Championship, it's a TV championship akin to an Intercontinental United States Championship, TNT Championship. That's the kind of bout it becomes. It becomes a mid-card championship to elevate you into the main event. If you have people like Trey Miguel or Ace Austin holding it, it's still somewhat of a television championship, but it's more of a cruiserweight championship, high flying, that kind of stuff. And there really are no limits, of course, weight limits or anything like that. But that's really what it is. So I think we could probably see a bit of both. I think we could maybe see Ace Austin be one of them. The other person, I don't know. I look on the roster and I say, who could that be? I mean, personally, it looks like we're probably going to get W. Morrissey versus Brian Myers at some point, but I'd love to have like W. Morrissey. Give W. Morrissey the X Division Championship, and just like, he would have these amazing matches with some of these smaller guys and bigger guys and turn it into maybe more of a mid-card championship. I think that would be fascinating. W. Morrissey, X Division champion, and then eventually you have Josh Alexander win the World Championship against Moose at Rebellion, and then what do you have? You have W. Morrissey cash it in. Option C, that's your main event, a Slammiversary right there. Josh Alexander, W. Morrissey, Impact World Championship. That's interesting. That's very interesting. That's very exciting. I suppose looking also forward to Slammiversary, we don't really know Jonathan Gresham's status at the moment with Impact or AEW for that matter, or Ring of Honor. Of course, he's still the ROH World Champion. He just hasn't got a contract with the company. Tony Khan owns Ring of Honor now, so he technically owns that championship. I don't know if he owns Jonathan Gresham's booking dates. I don't know. But maybe you get a World Championship match at Slammiversary that's Impact World Champion versus ROH World Champion. Maybe that's going to happen at the Multiverse of Matches, because we've already seen one Impact versus Ring of Honor match announced, which is the Good Brothers versus the Briscoes. I'm kind of veering off into other places right now, but who knows? Who knows what can happen there? So very interesting time. And of course, if we get any more announcements about Multiverse of Matches, we'll talk about it here on the channel. Anyway, guys, that's today's Impact Wrestling news. Of course, if we hear anything else, we'll talk about it here. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.